This is called a biblically accurate angel according to Isaiah. The seraphim. It says, above him were seraphim, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces. With 2 they covered their feet. And with 2 they were flying. So here's the big question. Why would angels need to cover their eyes and their feet, especially while they're flying? Because this is how you describe magnetism. As explained in my book, the Hearth book, the atomic field, your biofield, and the magnetic field around the earth are all exactly the same. This is the microcosm, your atom, the mesocosm, Adam, and the macrocosm, the universe, the earth. See, you have chakras, and your heart chakra is the middle chakra. The word chakra means spinning disc. The north and south pole, or crown and root chakra, are separated by the heart chakra, which is the plane of inertia. This is the north and south pole separated by the block wall in magnetism. See, I made it simple here. A magnetic field is a pressure mediation system. High pressure seeks low pressure. So the high pressure north is this backwards D that comes out of the center, through the top, around the plane of inertia, into the bottom and back to the center. The high pressure south goes out of the center, through the bottom, around the plane, into the top and back to the center. Then you have 2 mid pressures, north and south, which both come out the center, through the top, back to the plane, out the center, through the bottom, back to the plane. And it's that simple. This is why Saturn has flat rings made of asteroids, supposedly, which means the most matter accumulates at the plane of inertia between the poles. The Earth itself is the plane of inertia inside of its own magnetic field. If you have an apple and cut it in half, all the seeds are at the plane. There is a disc made of seeds at the center of an apple. Your aura is in the shape of an apple. The atom is an apple. The torus and the hyperbola. The torus is the donut, and the hyperbola is the oddball or tree or hourglass that fits perfectly inside of a torus. They're negative images of each other. Thank you, Ken Wheeler. Nothing else exists besides the torus and the hyperbola. All is a tomb, all is torus fields, all is seraphim. Why else do you think they have many eyes? Because every point where the counter-rotating field lines intersect would be a nexus or a node, or otherwise be considered an eye. They call Saturn a gas giant with a perpetual vortex at the top and perpetual vortex at the bottom. Everyone talks about the north hexagonal cloud at the top, but what about the south pole? It's called the southern eye, and these are both perpetual vortexes or tornadoes that never stop. The right-hand rule of magnetism says all fields go in one direction. Therefore, there is no north and south pole. There's only pressure mediation. This is counterspace, or the counterspatial disk, where magnetism is released from both sides. And it's a fractal because it branches out this way, up and down, but as it goes up, it branches, and as it goes down, it branches. And it all eventually comes back to the center. It's like pulling a rubber band and watching it snap back into place. Magnetism creates magnitude, and that spatial or dimensional force wants to go back to counterspace or subspace or hyperspace because it doesn't take up any space. They say the inner volume of your atoms is nothingness, but it's not nothingness, it's pure ether. Sure, they can't measure it, and it's non-detectable. Ken Wheeler, the world's leading magnetrician, said himself that if you have 2 magnets and put a Gauss meter right between them, you will actually read 0 Gaussian flux, which doesn't mean there's no magnetism. It means the 2 magnetic fields have canceled each other out. That means it's not physical. This is called metaphysics. We have to use symbols and metaphors to explain the unexplainable, the unseeable, the invisible. The Ouroboros snake eating its tail is not something that you see in nature. Sure, you might find a picture online somewhere, but that's unnatural. Snakes do that because there's something wrong. They don't like being in containers. The snake eating its tail is symbolic for the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, how it's not just a black hole that sucks in all matter, it actually regenerates its own matter. Every black hole is actually producing an astrophysical jet stream, which means it's shooting hydrogen out the north and south pole every second. Millions of tons of hydrogen are being emitted out of the north and south pole through the astrophysical jet stream of every galactic core of every galaxy. So the black hole is also a white hole that is constantly destroying and regenerating its own matter, just like your atoms do. That's why they're perpetual. All humans are electromagnetic. The electric part is inferior, you can see, and it's temporary. The magnetic part is superior, and you can't see it, and it's eternal. That is what you are. That's who you are. You are pure consciousness, which is your magnetic field. Magnetism is pure conscious loving energy. It's ether. Pure ether, potential. Magnetism, massless, weightless, substanceless, or particleless energy. Thank you, Ken Wheeler. See, I have 2 drawings here. And you must know both versions. Here, the male is forming the square because electricity is masculine. That's where you get straight lines. The woman is following the circle, and that's because magnetism is feminine. That's where you get curves. Now, it's not to be taken literal. Women are not magnetic and men are not electric only. Man is both the square and the circle because he's electromagnetic. He's electric and magnetic. The woman is also electric and magnetic. She's also a square and circle. She has a physical body, which is the square, and she has an ethereal body, which is the circle. She has emotions. She has her own mentality. So everyone has a two-part constituent. It's called spirit and matter. You have a material part and a spiritual part. Men are not just material and women are not just spiritual, or else you wouldn't be able to see women. There's a misnomer. People think magnetism means attractive. There is actually no such thing as magnetic attraction. This might shatter your entire reality. What do you mean there's no magnetic attraction? Magnets attract each other. They also repel each other. What repels is the magnetic force. What attracts is the dielectric force. What is dielectricity? You better get used to that. That's counter space. Magnetism creates magnitude, which is space. The sucking in part of a magnetic field is what's eating the space. The eater of space is called the ether. The creator of space is magnetism because it creates magnitude, which is voluminous and luminous. Magnetism carries electricity, which is visible light. We're all electromagnetic. Learn about this because it's important. It's what reality is made up of. This is the red pill, blue pill in the matrix. And the matrix we live in is a holographic simulated construct made up of torus fields, north and south pole redshift and blue shift. If you look down at the north pole of Saturn, you will see a hexagon, which is made by magnetism because everyone knows cymatics. Sound creates light. What is sound? It's magnetism. Magnetism carries electricity. Anything visible, audible, and tangible is due to magnetism and magnetism alone. The torus is right turning, redshift. The hyperbola is left turning, blue shift. So this is radiation or magnetic repulsion, which comes out. Magnetism means magnitude, which is voluminous and luminous. Left turning is what we call magnetic attraction, which is dielectric acceleration. High pressure seeks low pressure. This is left turning centripetal convergence. This is right turning centrifugal divergence. All there is repelling and attracting compressions and rarefactions of the medium. This is the breathing or the heartbeat of the universe. Everyone knows matter cannot be created or destroyed, which means everything is perpetual. Every atom is perpetual and infinite. Every free neutron after 14 minutes becomes a proton, which means that there is no proton, neutron, or electron. It's all one field. They're all just compounded versions of the same thing. The ether is the unified field, which I need everyone to become familiar with. And it's so easy. My 9-year-old son knows this. It's called magnetism because it creates magnitude. It's voluminous. So guess what? Even volcanoes use the torus field. That's why it's called magma, because it's equivalent to magnetism. Thank you, Santos. Thank you, Ken Wheeler. Thank you, Manly P. Hall. This is the cover of his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Fire and water on each side, hot and cold, redshift, blue shift, polarity and duality are just two sides of the same coin. It's the inverse of counterspace. You can't know about electricity if you don't know about magnetism, and you can't know about magnetism if you don't know about dielectricity, which is counterspace. Magnetism is the dielectric field. Thank you, Michael Faraday.